So I basically, instead of fixing aircraft, I sat on the catwalk of the ship with dual 50 cal and waited for pirates to come up. And
No kidding.
yeah.
Welcome to the Military Bottom Line podcast, where we learn from veterans and those currently serving how to make the most out of a military contract. We're here to motivate, inspire, and help you leverage your service to positively impact you professionally, personally, and financially during your military career and beyond. Welcome to episode 38 of the Military Bottom Line podcast. Today is my first in-person interview, so it was really exciting. I really enjoyed my conversation with Morgan Butkus, who actually is my neighbor. And I've been holding off on having all these conversations with him because I've wanted to save it for the podcast. So you guys are hearing most of this like I am for the first time. And so I know I enjoyed it. I know I enjoyed hearing his story, his perspective, and kind of what made him join in the first place, which is really interesting. And I think a lot of people can probably relate to his motives. And why he ultimately got out despite really enjoying it. So I think you guys will enjoy it. I know I did. Stick around. But what's going on, Morgan?
Not much. Another cold day.
Another cold day, dude. I'm excited to have you over. First in-person interview, so this is exciting.
Honored. Thank you for having me.
Cool, man. So we met like last year now. It's been about a year.
Yeah.
So you moved. I guess we both like bought a place in the same neighborhood, same time frame.
Yeah, you guys were our first friendly neighbors.
Yeah.
Aside from our immediate next door neighbors, but yeah.
Yeah.
Right over the fence.
Over the fence.
Fence, yeah. COVID style.
Yeah. It was nice. Like Vermont is not I don't feel like it's a super veteran heavy community. So I was surprised and excited to meet.
Yeah.
And have a neighbor as a veteran that can relate to, you know?
Yeah, same here. Something to connect on.
But I don't know like your whole story. I know we've talked about it a little bit, but like why'd you end up, what was your motive for joining the Navy?
So my wife Haley and I both grew up in the same town. It's like right outside of Albany, New York, which I would say is a medium city.
Okay.
But we grew up in a one stoplight town about 15 minutes outside of it. So like very, farm, kind of not much going on in our immediate town.
Yeah.
So a lot of my friends that I kind of ran with in high school fell to temptations, I guess, drugs, bad decisions, things like that. I experimented, I would say, a little bit here and there.
Sure.
Nothing bad, nothing heavy.
Yeah.
No drink and smoke pot type of thing, but smoking pot wasn't really my thing. And then my friends who did, start smoking. I'm not trying to say smoking was a gateway drug in any way,
sure,
but
sure.
they would get on to bigger and badder things. Not all of them for sure, but I didn't really like the way it was going. So, I would say that was about 30% of my friends. The other 30% were doing something with their life. They were going to college. They had plans and still doing good for themselves these days. I had no plan. I did okay at best at high school. I was kind of a troublemaker. I just didn't really give a shit in high school.
Yeah.
And that being said, once high school ended, the weekend house parties were kind of coming to an end when people were going off to college. It was like, well, shit, now what do I do?
Yeah.
Like I said, no plan. Didn't want to go to college. I just barely made it through 12 years of school. I didn't want to go through 4 more. So I waited a year, slept on it. I just did construction, working for a girlfriend's dad at the time. Just didn't see a long-term,
Yeah.
Wasn't long-term for me. So anyways, I don't exactly know why I chose to go to the military. My dad was, I would say, anti-military. My mom, I don't really think had a major opinion either way, but it was kind of like one day I woke up and I was like, I got to get out of here. And I didn't have any plans. I actually tried to go to a community college, but I literally went for 1 week and then I said, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
So it really was my, my ticket out of town.
Interesting.
So I joined the delayed entry program waiting a year to go in. Meanwhile, I was just doing landscaping and things like that.
How'd you pick the Navy? I mean, that
I,
was just kind of the first people to answer the phone, or like?
no, actually, I went in person. I was down in Colony, which is basically Albany, New York, in the mall. There's a recruiting center that has every branch of the military in it.
Mhm.
You walk down an aisle. And the first one was, I'm pretty sure Air Force was on the left, Army on the right, Navy on the left again, Marines, and then I think Coast Guard had their own offsite,
Sure.
in a Hilton. Something. I was kidding.
Yeah.
No, but I think I remember Air Force being closed,
Mm.
or nobody was there or something like that. Nobody was home.
Yeah.
I think Army was my last choice.
Yeah.
Nothing personal. I think I just wanted to I don't know. I don't have anything bad to say about the Army. It just wasn't my first choice.
I was the same way.
Yeah.
It's kind of just like a generic option.
I would have if door number 1, 2, and 3 were closed and 4 was open. But
Sure.
yeah, I guess my pecking order was Navy, no, Air Force, Marines, Navy, Army, and Navy and Air Force. No, I'm getting this all wrong.
Yeah.
Marines and Air Force. Nobody was there.
Yeah.
Navy was, and I talked to this guy. Of course, he was very welcoming. I felt lost. I felt out of the. He answered all my questions.
Yeah.
Of course,
Of course.
he did. But he kind of didn't really. I went in there thinking, "Oh, I know everything. This guy's gonna blow smoke up my ass."
Yeah.
And I left there not feeling like he blew smoke up my ass. I left there feeling like that was good information. And I didn't sign right away. I waited an entire week to sign.
1 week's not bad.
But it was enough time to sleep on it. It was enough time to go home.
Yeah.
Anyways, I signed up in October, and this was. Anyways, backtracking to my friends, this was I think 2 months after my first friend died of drug overdose. And that's kind of why I was like, I got to get out of here. I was super sad. He was my best friend. Couldn't handle it. So anyways, that was like, I took 1 week to think on it.
Yeah.
Kind of stepped back, looked around all my friends, even after one just died, which was huge to me.
Yeah.
Everyone kept doing it. And I was like,
wow,
I got to get out of here. So after 1 week, I went back. I said, get me out of here ASAP. He said, well, unless you want to be a cook or something like that, I can't get you out of here ASAP. You got to wait for a certain ship date for the job you pick, your MOS essentially. So I had to wait a year. I was all gung-ho, ready to pack my bags that night, and he said, hurry up and wait. So I was in the delayed entry program for a year. Let's see, during that time,
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I think like, I from my experience, you're definitely not the only person that kind of has like a, get me out of Dodge, like ASAP kind of thing. And so that depth, like up to a year, I mean, I'd be curious to know how many people kind of like, fall by the wayside.
Change their mind.
Yeah. Whether it changed their mind or like the reason that they were trying to get out so fast, like caught up to them. And, like that was their fear.
Yeah.
And then the Navy or whatever branch kind of, I don't want to say screws them, but like, there should be a better opportunity for those people.
Yeah. Get me out of here sooner. So I waited a year. That time, I kind of it was still my goal the entire time. I was like, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
I think I even had a girlfriend at the time, and I basically was like, I'm leaving. And she was okay with it. She was actually pretty supportive. We actually tried, keep things going.
Yeah.
While I was in boot camp, she wrote me letters, but got out of boot camp. I was like, sorry, I can't do this. But anyway, so I went into boot camp and.
What I mean, you didn't take like the cook, like the quickest way out. What was there a job or like a career field you were kind of hoping for and holding out for?
The recruiter asked me what my interests were, and at the time I was doing construction. I wanted to do construction. I didn't even know that was an option in the military. They told me about the CBs in the Navy. I wanted to be a builder,
cool.
I'll build bases essentially.
Yeah.
But same thing. He's like, I can't get you out of here, any sooner with that job. So I ended up taking an aviation, essentially mechanic job. In the Marines, it's like they call it GSE.
Yeah.
So I was that role in the Navy. But still waited a year to go in. But I kind of stayed focused. I stayed motivated, got in shape, did my thing. I actually even went to the unquote mandatory once a month PT you're supposed to go to that
Yeah.
apparently don't, but I did. They told me. So
Nice.
I was yeah, I stayed on track.
Cool.
It was kind of like I said, my ticket out of there. And I was like, if I have to wait, that's fine. I'm still gonna do this. And I did. Best decision I ever made.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think also like I know, like I was kind of in a similar position, like not really knowing what the objective was. Like there wasn't like a destination. But even, once you signed and you knew at that point there was a destination, you had like a focus. You knew you were working towards something.
Yeah.
And you could kind of just like, hold out and wait for it. But I feel like having that destination is definitely like important for people that are trying to avoid other things,
Yeah. Light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So what did you did 4 years?
Yeah. It was technically 3 months. No, gosh, 3 years and 10 months. I got out 2 months early because my ship decommissioned, and they're like, we don't. The Navy didn't want to spend the money to send me to another command.
Gotcha.
If I was leaving in 2 months.
Okay. So what did those 3-4 years look like?
First went to boot camp right around Christmas. Well, I left in the end of October. Navy boot camp's usually 8 weeks. For some reason, mine got condensed to about 6.5. So I was only there for 6.5. It was brutal cold, Chicago.
Yeah.
Great Lakes area. I went in as an E1, low man on the totem pole, left low man on, but I got meritoriously promoted to E2. I think just because I picked up like a collateral duty while I was in boot camp to be the laundry person. Let me tell you, a bunch of scared guys and girls.
Yeah.
I didn't do the girls' laundry, but out of their element, you wash a lot of shitty drawers. But
oh, man.
I think they felt bad for me and gave me I don't know. Maybe I just did a good job because I didn't really, like I said, I was a troublemaker in high school. But when I went to the Navy, I was like, I'm gonna keep my mouth shut for once, and I did. And I basically was just like, followed orders, and I think they liked that because I wasn't giving them a problem or something like that. So
yeah. How old were you at the time?
19.
19. Okay.
Yeah. So
it's interesting because I feel like, I don't know, like some people that are kind of troublemakers in high school and before, they either hold on to that or they recognize that like this is the time to change this. And so
you can't be a punk your whole life. You can, but
I mean, was it like just like an instinctive change for you? Or I mean, how did you?
I think the whole year I kind of sat around waiting. I basically just really desperately wanted to change and wanted something better for myself, that I was like really trying to do everything I could. So I kind of, I asked a lot of questions. I stayed in good contact with my recruiter the entire time, actually.
Really?
So I asked a lot of questions. I think, like I said, I think he was actually pretty honest with me. I know it's like I don't know. I would say it's a myth that they just lie. Maybe they do. Maybe they fluff things up, but
yeah, I don't know. I think there's such like a cliche to like call recruiters liars. And like, I think that blanket statement's inaccurate. I'm sure you can find ones that do, but
sure.
I think for the most part, they're pretty straightforward.
Yeah. I had a great experience with mine. He took care of me. Hell, when I first signed up, you need your social security card and your birth certificate. I did not have that growing up. I mean, I did, but it went somewhere. It was not found. He used, well, I don't know whose money it was, but it wasn't mine. And he used his resources, and he took me to the office to get a new birth certificate, new social.
Wow.
I mean, it's in his best interest to get me in the door.
Sure.
But he was, he took care of me. He helped me, answered my questions. Like I said, so yeah, that was good. So I don't know, I kind of just went right into boot camp with a good attitude about it, I guess, and looking at the bigger picture, I guess, instead of just like, I don't know. I always get those people. Oh, if I had a drill instructor screaming in my face, what I would do.
Yeah.
You just kind of say yes, sir. Whatever.
Yeah.
But anyways, kind of just put my head down and plugged along and got through it. Got out right before Christmas. Went home. It felt like I was like in 6 weeks a different person.
Weird.
Just like felt like I'd grown up in 6 weeks. Kind of like I don't know.
So where did you end up? I mean, you obviously you went to a couple schools for your job, but like where was your first spot in the fleet?
Yeah, so I was after all my trainings, I went right to Norfolk, Virginia, and it's want to say it's like the largest Navy base in the world.
Really?
It's huge. Yeah.
Wow. Was that, I mean, did you have a preference of where you ended up, or?
I don't think so. And if I did, I don't think I knew any better.
Mhm.
And if I did, I probably was. Looking back, I feel like I kind of was like Virginia. It's far enough away from home, but close enough where I could drive up if I needed
Sure.
to.
Yeah.
Looking back, I wish I went somewhere else
Mm.
just to see the other, places. But
Yeah.
anyways, so yeah, I went to Norfolk. My first ship, I had never really been on a Navy base before that. Not a real one, anyways.
Yeah.
I'd seen Navy ships here and there, but I didn't really realize like how big they were.
How big they were.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I pulled up on a
Yeah.
base, and it was my first time going. I'd been on like training bases and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
I went through the gate of NOB Norfolk and showed my badge, and they let me in. They told me where my ship was. It was on Pier 2.
Uh-huh.
And I pulled up, and it was like all the way at the end, and there was like 4 ships on the pier.
Huh.
I was all the way at the end, and I just like you picture, walking down the pier with my sea bag, and
No kidding.
walked up to the ship and said, "Hey, I'm so and so. I'm checking in today." And they're like, "So," But
so when you that's I mean, that's so different. So when you check into your unit in the Navy, you go check into a boat. Like
Yeah.
that's where you live.
Yep,
Even
that's your home.
even when you're not out on a deployment on a float, you live on the boat.
Technically, yeah. So
Bizarre.
the way it works, I don't know if it's other branches as well, but it's like E4 with 4 years, you get BAH.
Mm-hmm.
You get your own apartment. E3 and below, no matter how long you've been in, you don't get BAH if I'm not mistaken.
Man, you live on the boat.
Yeah.
That
So
sucks.
you sleep on a rack. That's I don't know. It's like I'm a big guy, so let's take that into consideration. But like you get it on your back, you want to sleep on your stomach, you kind of have to get out and wiggle onto your stomach. So
Wow.
I actually did it for a little bit, living on the ship, but I was only there for 2 months before they said, anchors away, and we set out for a 9-month deployment. This was in I don't remember what part of 2010 that we left. I think middle of 2010.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually packed up and left early. We had a scheduled deployment, left early because there was a major flooding in India.
Huh.
And we were going to do humanitarian services over there.
Cool.
Yeah, so we packed up and set sail and went off for a 9-month deployment. I think it was only scheduled for 7 or 8. Got extended a couple times.
What was like? I just feel like that's so weird. Like you basically, I don't know, the contrast like from living in the barracks and like knowing you're deploying and like having to go through all the workups and stuff, but like you already live on the boat.
Oh yeah.
And all of a sudden your boat just starts, like your whole house just starts moving. Like
super weird.
And only 2 months into the fleet.
Yeah.
And what was going through your mind at that time?
Well, it actually wasn't too bad because it was like I would say a week and a half after I actually checked in. I was still kind of a new guy. I was going through like checking into every department.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to check in with admin. You got to check in with
Yeah.
medical, all that. So I was still kind of running around trying to figure out what my life now was.
Yeah.
And when a ship goes out to sea for deployment, say for 9 months,
Mm-hmm.
well, the preceding, I would say 2 to 3 months, they're doing what they call workups.
Yeah.
But they're going out to sea. They're going out into the Atlantic, and they're, from Norfolk, we went down to Morehead City to pick up Marines. We just go do training exercises, make sure the ship is, I guess, mechanically sound enough to,
Yeah.
be mission ready.
Yeah.
So during those 2 months that I was in the fleet and not deploying, we were already out to sea. Just like I said, floating off the coast. So
what kind of ship is this? Like big aircraft carrier?
No, actually, so funny. I was in aviation, and my first ship was an LPD, which is an amphibious transport dock. It's the ones that I call them a marine taxi.
Mm-hmm.
We transport MUs, which is like Marine Expeditionary Unit.
Yep.
Anyways, it's the one that like kind of fills the water, and the
garage door kind of comes down out the back, and
it literally half sinks, and LCACs and LCUs, landing craft units.
Yeah.
Just drive in, and then the water drains and the ship floats again.
That's wild.
Super weird. But there wasn't much aviation on there.
So what'd you do? Not much.
Yeah, I had. So when we deployed, I kind of like unlike an aircraft carrier, air department. You have your air department. which is like they're working on the flight deck. They're, sending the planes off. They're chaining them down. They're doing everything.
Yeah.
But there's different divisions in air department. On the LPD, there was one air department which included, I'll call it aircraft maintenance.
Yeah.
But we didn't have any aircraft on board. The only thing we had was like, we had technically 6 spots where helicopters could land.
Yeah.
But we never had any permanently on board.
Hmm.
They would always fly in from the larger ships.
Gotcha.
So we just had.
So you were like there in case like a helicopter broke down while like chilling on your boat.
Not even. No, this is where it gets funny. We had like 2 of those, when you go to the airport and you see like the tractors that, tow everything around.
Yeah.
We had like 2 of those on board. But if they broke, that was my job to fix those specifically. If they broke, they would fly people in from the bigger ship. So I literally didn't do my job for the first 2 years of my contract. So I got really qualified in almost everything else on the ship. I mean, quartermaster, steering the ship. I worked in deck department, like when we would, you're out to sea for so long, you need supplies. So another supply ships comes up. They basically shoot a beanbag across the gap. I mean, you're going in parallel. Shoot a beanbag across that's tied to a bigger rope, and you pull that, and then the bigger rope. And anyways, they'll ship pallets over to you by a string line.
Wow.
They'll send fuel over. So I did like a lot of work with that. I ended up getting, at first against my, will, sent to security detail. So basically I would sit, as soon as you go through the Suez Canal through Egypt, you basically have to man around the ship 24/7.
Yeah.
So I basically, instead of fixing aircraft, I sat on the catwalk of the ship with dual 50 cal and waited for pirates to come up. And
no kidding.
Yeah. So, but that being said, I got to really meet. The crew was 300 people. You got to meet everybody. I mean, the captain, like he would come around, and it was no like normally it's like attention on deck, and everybody, he was very casual. He was very nice. He was an awesome guy. He left, transferred to a different duty station. But anyways, it was just a very family feel almost on that ship. It was an all-male ship, but it was good camaraderie there, even with the Marines. We'd sit there and play games on the mess decks after hours and stuff like that. But so I guess my job was I was assigned to air department, but I kind of did a little bit of everything. And so did everybody on the ship. There was only a few people on the ship who did exactly what they were trained for. So everybody was kind of a jack of all trades.
Yeah.
So
right on. So you were gone 9 months. I've never been out like in the middle of the ocean before.
Oh yeah.
What's that like?
At first when you pull out, you get a little anxious.
Yeah.
Like, I got used to it. As soon as you leave, you're in the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah.
At least where I was. And you're, heading east.
Mm-hmm.
And you're already just right in the ocean. For 2 weeks, I think it took us to get to
sea land.
To see Spain and Morocco. We went through the Strait of Gibraltar into the Mediterranean. So for the first 2 weeks, you don't see land. And you're just like, this is life, man. But it really became one of my favorite. It was almost therapeutic. One, the waves crashing. Even when you're just sitting there, almost mind-numbingly staring at the ocean with a gun that you're going to, shoot the fish. But it's like, you hearing the waves crash up against the boat, or the boat rather cut through the waves. Watching the sunset, looking at the stars. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like pitch black and just pitch black sky, just completely lit up with stars. Beautiful. Miss it, actually, seeing that in the sunrise, sunset.
Yeah.
It was great. You kind of learned that like, this is life, you're going. And, but there was also times on deployment after we went through the Strait of, or Suez Canal rather, we were over in the Red Sea, or the Indian Ocean, where we didn't see land for like, I think it was like 75 days straight.
Wow.
So they gave us what they call a beer day, where they give us like beer that's been sitting in a storage room for like 6 months, warm.
Not chilled.
You're allowed to have 2 of them. So it's like, it's their way of saying like, sorry, you can't go out and do a port and have a beer and get some R&R.
Gotcha.
Here's 2 disgusting beers. Hope you like them.
Do they do that just because of the, the territory in that area of the world where it's like there's nowhere to go and it's more hostile than it is?
Yes and no. I mean, we still pulled into ports You almost have to. They don't pull in, I would say, just for the crew to go
Of
vacation.
course.
It's
Yeah.
always like, supplying,
Yeah.
refueling, things like that. Things that are above my pay grade, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I guess they give us that beer day. I think it's over 60 days. Any ship will do a beer day, if I'm not
Okay.
mistaken. So it's kind of a Navy tradition, I guess.
Gotcha.
Um,
Some good old Bush Light or something
yeah,
like
yeah. I
that.
think I remember having like a really, really warm Heineken, and it
Mm,
was like they're like, in my opinion, kind of skunky, anyways.
yeah.
So then you have it warm, and it's 120 degrees out. You're just like, I don't even want this, but let's do this.
Yeah.
So no, but being out to sea for a long time was sometimes it would get tough. You
Mm,
start, like I said, you start to get anxious. You start to be like, all right, come on, let's go. Like, at
yeah.
least can I see a piece of land,
Yeah.
and get a taste of it. But um, my first, actually, both deployments, we ended up pulling into a lot of places, but there was just large stints in between them.
Mm.
So, um, yeah,
So when you got to, oh, I mean, I want to say the purpose of the deployment was for humanitarian aid. Like obviously there's multiple purposes behind it, but I mean, when you got to India, what did you actually get off the ship and do much, or what did that look like for you?
we pulled up, I would say, 20 miles off the coast of India. We could, like, see land, and they
Hmm.
basically said, "Flood's over." Like I think the bigger ships who actually had aircraft and
Yeah.
helicopters, they flew out and did some humanitarian stuff, as I would say, like cleanup and
Yeah.
whatever, delivering food and water and
Yeah.
stuff. But we basically got over there and sat there. So
Mm,
we left, I would say, early for nothing.
yeah.
But the way my ship is, like I said, it's an amphibious ship, um, and it's attached to a bigger group.
Hmm.
I think they called it an ARG, amphibious readiness group. So I was like a little ship attached to a bigger, essentially helicopter aircraft carrier. But it's not a
Gotcha.
full aircraft where they don't have, they don't have F-18s and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
so I was attached to that. So that group had to go out. So we had to go with it.
Mm,
Essentially, same way like a destroyer goes with a aircraft carrier.
gotcha. Makes
So
sense. Makes sense. So how many? So you did total of two deployments,
yeah,
different regions of the world, or
no, it's the same. That's another reason why I kind of wish that I transferred to a different, like say
mm,
San Diego, where I could go do a West Coast deployment.
yeah.
But when you're on the East Coast, you primarily go to the Middle East. I mean, hell, even the West Coast goes to the Middle East. But yeah, so I went, Atlantic to the Mediterranean, through Egypt, Red Sea, Indian Ocean, and then over to the Persian Gulf was ultimately where we kind of floated around for the majority of it.
Gotcha.
We were only in the Mediterranean on our way to and the way home from
Mm.
the Persian Gulf.
What were like some top ports that you guys got to stop in?
Um, let's see. My first foreign country I've ever been to was Bahrain.
Hmm.
Wow, the Navy's got a big presence over there. Let's see. After that, we went to Seychelles, which is off the coast of Kenya. It's a little island. We did some exercises with Kenya, so that was cool. You get to hop on the little boat that goes inside our boat
Oh
and
yeah,
go to
yeah,
Kenya on
yeah.
the beach. And um, let's see, that was oh yeah, and then also after that, in the Red Sea, we went to Jordan.
Mm.
That was probably one of my favorites because Jordan, it's the desert.
Yeah.
Where we pulled in was Aqaba, Jordan, and you basically you could see Saudi Arabia, Egypt. You're in Jordan. What's the last one? Israel. Anyways, really cool spot, but it's just desert.
Hmm.
But we pulled in, and there was like 4 or 5 star resorts right on the hotel or right on the shore right there.
Yeah.
So we basically had like the whole ship just kind of party at these 5 star resorts. But MWR, I don't know if you're familiar with MWR.
Military One Source or something,
No,
or MWR.
it's like a recreational. It's the way that
I
like
remember the acronym. I can't remember what it stands for,
yeah,
but
it's
sounds
basically the
familiar.
way that like when you're on deployment, say in the Navy, there's a store. You need basic supplies,
Yeah,
so you
yeah,
buy all
yeah.
this stuff. Any profit they make off it, they put in this big jar and big pot. And when you pull into ports, that pot gets basically sent out and redistributed to essentially the crew
Mm,
and say, okay, what do you guys want to do while we're here? We can set up a tour to go to Petra, Jordan, which is where I'm going with this.
mm.
So, anyways, for like I think it was like $30, you get to go hop on a bus, drive 4 hours through the desert to like this crazy historic site.
Huh.
Really cool.
Hmm.
So, anyways, I really enjoyed that. Um, And then we went to a couple places in the Mediterranean, with Italy twice, Spain.
Cool.
Got to see running with the bulls there.
No kidding.
And Greece twice.
Did this all feel like, oh, how much did it feel like work versus a vacation? Because obviously, like, we're focusing a little bit on, like,
The
some of
fun.
some of the unique stuff that goes along with it. But when you're actually living it, like, did you have an appreciation for it? Did you have fun while doing it, or was it like, I'm here and I don't really want to be here?
It was kind of one of those things that, looking back now, I feel like a lot of people in the military would say this, like,
Yeah,
you were in the glory days and you didn't know you were in the glory
yeah,
days, you
yeah.
know? Like, I definitely miss it. You know, on both ships, I had a group of guys that, we were just like super tight, buddies. You meet some great people from all over the world,
Hmm.
that are, you have each other's backs type of thing. Um, but yeah, there were definitely times where I was like, man, screw this. This sucks.
Yeah,
It definitely sucked. Like I said, it's 120 degrees and you're, standing in the sun with absolutely no shade with a gun staring at the water. You're like, why? But
yeah.
eventually pirates would come up to our ship. So like
Huh.
you were essentially protecting the ship, but like so many hours a day, you're just standing there
Yeah.
getting so sunburned, and then you get in trouble for being sunburned. So it's like, it's a catch 22. You're like, come on, man.
I forgot about that rule.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, you
yeah,
wouldn't really, but somebody would jokingly
yeah,
say something.
yeah.
I guess. But anyways, I didn't, and then my whole job wasn't just staring at water with a gun. So, um, but there was definitely times where I didn't, I was ready to go home. I
Yeah,
was like, man, screw this. I'm done.
yeah.
After my second deployment was on a carrier, the Enterprise. And that was a huge ship, 5,000 people, bigger than my hometown.
Mm.
Um, that was just such a different. I was in a culture shock when I went from my first ship to that one.
Yeah.
I went,
300 to 5,000.
yeah,
That's just, yeah, that's different.
I went from thinking, oh, I'm salty. I got one deployment under my belt. I show up to this big ship, and I was just, like
Yeah.
I said, I didn't do what I was trained to do in the military for the
Mm.
first 2 years. So I got there, and there's people there who have been doing it for their entire career.
Yeah.
And here I am. I showed up to that boat as an E5, and they were like, "You're supposed to know this stuff,"
Yeah.
And I did. I was mechanically inclined, so I did, but I didn't really know it.
Sure.
So it's kind of, I went in there as an E5 with like, I would say like E3 level of knowledge of
Hmm.
my job. So
Yeah. I mean, that, I think the reality of it, like, that's way more common in the
oh
military
yeah,
because there's so many different billets. There's so many different offshoots of like a job that you could end up in for, years. And then all of a sudden you get sent to do your real job.
yeah,
And people are like, this is your title.
yeah,
Why don't you know how to do this? So it's like, yeah, that's pretty common. Yet it's hard to get around. Like, you're
yeah,
still gonna get crap for it,
yeah.
but it's
No,
not has nothing to do with you. It's not your fault at all.
I had some real animosity, but like there was guys who were, I would say, E4,
Yeah,
who have been working in the job, busting their knuckles for 6 years as an E4, trying to make E5. And here I come,
mm.
brand new E5. I just put it on. E5 show up to the ship, and
Yeah,
they technically, I was in charge of them, but
uh-huh,
they knew more than me, and they were like, you know,
yeah,
I mean, I got along with them all, but it was kind of like they were like, damn,
yeah. It's a
But
difficult dynamic.
if you do good, I'm not saying I did great, but I got good evals on my first ship.
Yeah,
You know, and the evals in the Navy help you get promoted. It's not. So, anyways, like in the Navy, you can really do good just by um, being the one who always says yes.
mm,
Like someone needs something done, you say, I'll do it.
yeah,
Even if it sucks. But it's like, if it sucks, what else are you gonna do? You're on deployment. You're in the middle
yeah,
of the ocean.
yeah,
The joke is, my second ship was called the Enterprise. They call it the USS Enter Prison. It's like you literally can't go anywhere.
yeah,
That's always a joke. The hangar bay, they have elevators that take everything down to the elevator,
mhm.
up to the flight deck. And the joke was always like, well, there's your door, huge hole in the side of the ship. You want to leave? Go ahead.
Yeah,
And unfortunately, some people did. But
really?
oh yeah, a couple suicides on the first ship, or
Wow.
on the second deployment. Yeah,
By jumping off the boat.
jumping, falling, things like that.
Wow.
And obviously, falling by accident is not a suicide,
Yeah.
but people definitely, yeah,
Wow.
a couple people, I think we had a couple people die naturally, heart
Huh.
attack in their sleep type of thing.
Mm.
But yeah, it's a real thing. People can get mentally like very stressed out.
Yeah.
The catch is, if you get to that point, you really have to ask for help, because if you are mentally so unfit that you're thinking about ending your own life on deployment,
Yeah.
you can talk to somebody on the ship. obviously everybody knows that. But
Mm-hmm.
if you tell them like what's going through your head, hey, listen, temptation's there. I'm sick of this. I got to get out of here one way or another.
Yeah.
They'll fly you off the ship.
Huh.
So like they try to take it very seriously, but some people don't know that they can be like, hey,
Yeah.
having suicidal thoughts, you're off the ship that day.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's an ongoing,
Yeah.
like, issue is that like it's nobody wants to say something like that, whether it be PTSD or like freaking out on a ship for fear of ramification of what it's going to do to
Yeah.
their career,
Yep.
and so it's like, yeah, that's it.
I think a lot of people don't want to deal with feeling kind of I don't know what I'm looking for, but they feel small for saying that they need help.
Yeah.
So it's like, but anyway, so yeah, I don't know. There was a lot of people there who struggled, stuff like that, but they would fly people out. I forget where I was going with that, but anyways, so yeah, my second ship was kind of it was like kind of like a prison, but you really can't leave. So like I said, you kind of just, I mean, what I did is like, if there's something else that's not your normal job,
Yeah.
and you're done working for the day, I'll go learn other things because like literally, what else are you gonna do?
Yeah.
So like I did, I was telling you before, I did. The Navy would fly professors out, and you can get actual college. You could go to college physically in a classroom on a Navy ship while on deployment.
Really?
Yeah. So I did a total like 10 classes, and they don't do it specifics like if you want to be I don't know, chemical engineer. They're not going to fly people out for that, but they fly people out for core credits.
Okay.
So almost every degree, you need English, you need history, you need a couple math. So,
and is it like they have these professors on board for like a couple days, and you're in class all day for 2 days, kind of thing, and you knock it out, or how does that work?
well,
And
when
like,
you're
what
on
school is it with?
the school it was Central Texas College,
Huh.
and I think they do a couple different ones, but it's really just like whoever is willing to partner essentially with the military.
Yeah.
In that manner. I remember this one guy. Honestly, it was hilarious. But this guy, his name was Mike Hill. He set up camp in Hawaii, and he just went all over the world. And he had I think a little apartment in Hawaii that he just like stopped to in between his deployments. But that guy deployed all the time, and he loved it. He's like, I get to travel for free. He's like, I'm a single guy, just kind of go around and travel the world on the Navy's dime while I teach their sailors history. And I think he did history and English was the thing. So
he was a Navy guy, or he was a civilian?
Civilian.
Wow.
Yeah. So he but anyways, yeah, so the Navy would send out these professors, and so on deployment you work 12s. 7 days a week, 12-hour days, It sounds like a lot, but again,
Pass
you
the
have
time.
nothing else to do.
Yeah.
It's like you might as well, So plus you become friends with everybody you work with. It's not as much like work anymore.
Yeah.
It's chill for some jobs. So some people will probably kick me for saying that, but so anyways, after the 12-hour shift, you hurry up and eat, and you go to class at it was usually 7 to 7 was like schedule rotations. Probably class would start at like 8 o'clock. After you shower, eat, and go down in your civilian clothes, whatever, to the ship's classroom, which was usually just like a briefing room.
Yeah.
And they give you homework. They give you
Really.
They don't really give you any credit. They're like leeway.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit if you're like, so say there's a man overboard.
Mm-hmm.
The whole ship's got a muster.
Sure.
Okay, you missed class. Well, everybody missed class, so no big deal. But say there's a security threat. I'm on the security team. I had to go. That instructor heard over the loudspeaker that there was a security threat, and like the security team had got called away.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, listen, Mike, I was in the security detail. He knows that. So whatever.
Okay.
But yeah, you sit there and you write essays. You do your homework after.
So it's not like a free. I mean, it's like free. It doesn't cost you anything, but they don't just give you the credits.
No, they don't. They make you work for it, which I kind of appreciate it because it's like, but it's also during that time you have the mentality like you're just working like a dog anyways. It's like, what's one more thing? And I'm glad I did it. Hell, like I said, I got 10 classes worth of 3-hour credits. So
wow,
worked out.
That you applied to your undergrad that you're finishing up right now?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yep.
So
so that was kind of my whole point is like I just tried to take advantage of every opportunity I could.
Yeah.
When I was there, and I did that on both ships.
Nice.
Both deployments I did classes.
So then after, at what point did you start thinking like, I think I'm done? Like, it sounds, everything we've spoken of obviously is kind of more on the highlights of it, but um, what were the downsides that you kind of started thinking like, I think I'm done after one contract, and how did that?
I wasn't initially. Um, I think to be a recruiter, you have to be an E5
Mm,
minimum, and I was. But so I think I was having, I can't remember exactly. My mom had a lot of health issues,
mm,
and I think after being gone and missing a lot and stuff like that, that I was kind of like maybe my mom would probably say I'm being dramatic now because she's still alive, but
yeah,
I think I mean I definitely want to be home and be like closer to family and stuff like that.
yeah,
Um, it wasn't necessarily like I'll get out, but after my second deployment, they send you somewhere. The ship was being decommissioned. They're stripping it. It's just bare metal
mm,
now. So you got to go somewhere. So it's the whole 5,000 crew. If there's not a spot in the Navy for you to go, where do you go, right? So I had very limited options. Normally, if a crew of 5,000 people is not trying to get dispersed across the entire fleet, you have more options. Like, I could go to San Diego. I could go to Sigonella, Italy. I could go, but anyways, my only option was either Japan
mm,
or I found a way to become a recruiter. They had an opening,
mm.
and in the same recruiting office that I went through, they had an opening for an E5 recruiter. So it's funny that the times have changed now, and tattoos are more acceptable in the military. But I've got one. It's on my calf,
Mm.
and it's like look from a distance. It looks like a skull, but if you look up close, it's made up of a bunch of naked chicks.
Yeah.
And there's, I guess, 4 microscopic nipples on it that they made me.
Okay.
That they're like, yeah, because you have to take pictures to
Yeah.
apply to be a recruiter, front, side, back, in your PT uniform, which is shorts and a t-shirt, of course.
Yeah.
Because you'll be working with these new kids who are coming to the military, Deppers, whatever we call them. So they didn't want anything offensive.
Mm.
So I get that covered up, put corsets over them. So I went, and my favorite tattoo is from a Salvador Dali painting.
Mm.
I got corsets put over them. Paid to do it. The person doing it was like, dude, I don't want to ruin your tattoo. I was like, I got to do it. I want to be a recruiter, blah, blah, blah.
Man.
So I did it. They said I did exactly what they told me to do.
Yeah.
And they still denied my package after being already approved. They said, you know what, on the second thought,
Wow.
yeah. So I was like, that gave me a bad taste in my mouth. And at that point, I was already set on going home for a
Yeah.
couple of years.
Mm.
So since I'm basically mentally prepared to go home, I had already started making arrangements to go home. And I mean, this was like 1 month before I was supposed to go to recruiting training.
Wow.
I basically was like, they kind of screwed me over because they could have just said, even if you cover it up, we're not going to do it. And then I would have still had my original tattoo. Not that
Sure.
my I've got a bunch of bad tattoos. But, not that it was really the full deciding factor, but I was kind of bitter. I was like, you know what? Screw you. I'm going home anyways. I'm getting out.
Huh.
I didn't care. It's not like I was sticking it to the man, but it was kind
Yeah.
of just like, that was kind of my choice. That was my deciding factor. I was like, you know what? I was already going to go home. I'm going to go home. And now I'm just going to go to college.
Yeah.
And now 10 years later, I'm named myself the second Van Wilder. So I'm still in school, but slow and steady.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
Huh. So were there, I mean, if you were that, I guess I'm trying to understand, if you were that close to going to recruiting school, did you have orders at the point, or like, did you deny orders in order to?
the orders were technically held for me from somewhere in Tennessee. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So I had orders set aside with my, essentially with my name on it, however it works.
Yeah.
They just weren't officially cut. I didn't get my official stamped orders until I got the tattoo fix, and then I did, and they said, you know what? No.
Yeah.
For some reason, some guy somewhere in Tennessee changed his mind on my tattoo, and that kind of changed my military fate, because I probably would have stayed in. Because this is, you could correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure I am wrong. I know I'm wrong, but it was always my thought that, okay, you do 4 years, you get out.
Mm-hmm.
You do 2 terms, that's 8 years.
Yeah.
Why not just do 12 more and stay in? You know what I mean? So that's
yeah. I mean, I often feel similarly. I mean, it all depends on each person, what they want out of their life. But to me, it is like, what more do you gain from that second enlistment if you're not going to go on?
Yeah.
And I can understand both logic, both sides of the coin. So
I had when we moved out to Oregon, we met these really good people. They're both guard in the Air Guard. One was full time, one was part time. The part timer, Alani, she was, I want to say she was in for like 13, 14 years. And so that was it.
Yeah.
She loved, she's happy being out, but her husband's still active.
Gotcha.
But people can do as long as they want
Yeah.
the contract, and it's like everybody does different, I guess, and everybody has a different mentality about it. But I probably would have stayed in if I did recruiting, because I bet that if I went home for 3 years to do recruiting, or however long the bill it was for, I bet I would have been like, yeah, get me out of here again, which is exactly what happened. I moved home for 3.5 years, and I said, get me out of here again. Basically, not, I don't want to say re-met, but started talking to Haley again, my wife. Now.
Yeah.
And she wanted to get out of town too, so we said, let's get out of here together. So we went to Oregon together.
Cool.
But yeah, I kind of always think that, like, if I went home for recruiting, I still could have met her again, or reconnected with her.
Yeah.
And then we still would have left, but probably gone, obviously, somewhere in the military. But they would have taken me all over, anywhere in the world. So it's funny how things kind of work out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I probably would have stayed in if I did recruiting.
Yeah.
But since I didn't, oh well.
Yeah.
Still had a great experience. And it was kind of one of those things where it's like, maybe I like to think that I left before my mindset changed. Right now, I've got a great perception of my time in the military.
Yeah.
Maybe I stayed in longer. Maybe it
would have gone downhill.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a horrible way to look at it, but I'm saying I cherish my time in.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't think it's a horrible way to look at it, because either way, it's a perspective, and it's like, it sucks like to have fond memories of it if you're gonna like miss it.
Yeah.
But so like the other side of that coin would be like almost nice to have kind of a poor taste, so you don't kind of think about it as like, man, maybe I should have stayed. So I feel like both sides could be.
Yeah, one of my best friends in the Navy, I still talk to him weekly. We always joke back and forth about joining again, because technically I still could. There's other options. Reserve, I could still go back in the reserve. I could still do guard. And there was something, I talked to a girl in Oregon, a recruiter in Oregon, for just, I think, the regular guard. And I could be wrong, but she basically was like, yeah, you've been out for 4 years, but you could still keep your rank.
Yeah.
And go in essentially to the Army. As an E5.
There's like definitely there's some kind of expectation that, like, if you're going to do it, it all has to be consecutive and continuous.
Yeah, it's not true.
It's not. Like, I've met, like, being in the Guard now, I've met people that they were, like, active duty, and then, like, 12 years later, they're like, let me go into the Guard. And, like, best decision I ever made. Like, I don't know why. Crazy, right? I don't know why I took 10 years off.
I kind of think now it's like, I'm not really doing anything that would prevent me from joining the Guard.
Yeah.
Like, this is a stupid one, but like, I don't sit around and smoke pot.
Yeah.
Which obviously you can't do in the military.
Yeah.
Well, that's the only thing I can come up with right now. But, I'm saying there's really nothing that would prevent me from going 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year to go do something. I would have to definitely change my physical condition and get back into the swing of things, but I've been out for a while. But a lot of people do it. A lot of people go back in, and it's definitely something that's always been in the back of my mind. But it's also like, the reason I didn't in Oregon, I was out there with my wife, Haley. We didn't know a single other person. I would have had to go back. I would have had to went. You know what I'm saying? Cut that part out. I had to go back to boot camp.
Yeah.
Which is funny, because as an E5, you have to go back to the boot camp. And really, I know each branch has a different training in boot camp.
Yeah.
Like, say Army's more focused on combat training, where Navy's not really combat training. You're more specialized job training, I guess.
So you would, they were saying you would have to go back to boot camp, but you would graduate as an E5?
I would be an E5 going in. So
weird.
Yeah, picture you going to boot camp in the Marine Corps and having having a sergeant in there with you, lining up on the tow line, and yes, sergeant, no sergeant. But the only catch is they were like, but you get your own hotel room. You don't have to stay in the barracks with everybody else.
Really?
That seems so bizarre to me.
Yeah.
But apparently it's what they do. It's like, you get treated, you obviously have a different level of respect because you've been in the military and you have a certain rank and,
Yeah.
you're not brand new. So they're not trying to mold you. You kind of already know how the military works. So they're not trying to prove anything to you.
Yeah.
They're just trying to teach you how that branch works type of thing.
Yeah.
And you're learning the core values of the Army or the Air Force.
Sure. Yeah. That's one thing, like, I didn't really think much of when I was joining the Marine Corps. I was like, oh, like if you switch over, you don't have to go to boot camp. And I'm like, at the time, I was like, who cares? Like, why would I switch anyways?
Yeah.
You have no idea what you don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
And so the thought of like, was going over to the Air Guard, the thought of having to go through their boot camp after being in for like 8 years, I would like, dude, that would have sucked.
Yeah.
That would have sucked, like,
But it's like,
but at the same time, I probably would have learned a lot. Like the rank structure would be way more, engraved in my mind, but little things like that, but you'll just get it over time,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. That's probably the one branch I have no idea of. I can probably go up and down the ranks of every other branch of the military, including Coast Guard,
Yeah.
except for Air Force. I'm always like, oh, I don't know what you are, man. you look like you got a lot. So
honestly, I still struggle.
Yeah.
With it. Like,
but yeah, that probably would have been good. That would be good for somebody going back in to learn things like that. And I wasn't against it. I had a good time boot camp. Shit,
Yeah.
It was a culture shock for sure, but I did okay. I didn't have a bad taste in my mouth about it.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to leave my wife Haley out in a place completely by herself for 2 to 3 months. And I don't know. I could have and I should have. Not necessarily should have, but she would have been fine with it.
Yeah.
It would have been a tough thing that we would have got through together. But at the time, I was pretty new out there. I just started a new job that I traveled across country for. I didn't want to be like, well, see you later for 3 months.
Yeah, yeah. It's always the initial part, like the initial, training process that is like, it's the hurdle to get over.
Yeah.
Once you're on kind of like the 1 week in a month, 2 weeks a year type schedule, you can kind of work it into your routine and you're not screwing up, your family and your employer.
Yep.
So yeah, I feel like that's probably most people's, hurdle for not moving forward.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot, but like you said, once you get into the routine of it, and after that, all the dust settles of the initial training, it's fine.
Yeah,
I'm assuming. I don't know. I haven't done it. You have. But.
Yeah. So I mean, after you've been out 10 years. 10 years?
No, okay. I exaggerate. Let's see. It's 2021. I got out in 2013. So
okay, like 7-8 years. Yeah.
Years.
I mean, it sounds like you don't have any regrets about joining in the first place.
No, like I said, it was the best thing I ever did. Got me out of the hometown I needed to. And while I was gone, my friends just started dropping like flies. Dropping like flies, unfortunately. And every time, not that I thought it was a good thing, but I was just like, glad I got out of there.
Yeah.
Could have been me. Who know? I don't know. I don't think I ever would have picked it up, but I don't think any of them ever thought that they would pick up hard drugs. I did.
Yeah.
And it sucks. Lost a lot of my good friends. And I wish things would have been differently. But for my personal life, you can't live your life based on what other people are doing. You got to do it for you. And I did it for me. And it was the best thing I ever did.
Yeah.
Learned a lot. I was able to kind of, build a resume when I got out, got a decent job. That's why it's taken me so long and to go to school, because I'm kind of going part-time.
Yeah.
I've been going, I guess, for the past 8 years, not 10, but it feels like 10.
I mean, I don't think everybody's either fortunate enough or like wants to remain kind of in the same, industry as they did in the military. So like a lot of people just kind of forget what they did in the military to pursue a different education or pursue a different job. But you were fortunate enough to like be interested in and have the credentials to get like a real job after you got out.
Yeah. It, not to discourage, I guess, anybody, but it was kind of like all the stars aligned for me to get this one job.
Yeah.
I put the word cryogenics on my resume because technically my job worked with cryogenics.
Yeah.
I didn't. So I kind of just lied. That one word was a search word that this company used because they worked in the cryogenic industry.
Huh.
Anyways, the guy, they pulled me in for an interview. I was pretty honest. I was just like, listen, I don't know how to separate air.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm not going to get into that. But basically, the funny part is the guy who hired me had my exact job in the Navy.
No
and
kidding.
He did, I think, 22 years or something like that.
Huh.
So he was a senior chief and then in the Navy as an air, aviation support equipment technician.
Huh.
So during I didn't know this at the time, but he was asking me a million questions about exactly what I did in the Navy.
Mm.
And I was like, there's no point in fluffing this up
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
You know, I don't, because if I get hired, they're going to know that I don't know how to do certain things. So I was completely honest with what I did,
Yeah.
what my job did, but versus what I actually did and stuff like that.
Sure.
So he was obviously kind of testing me to see if I'd lie. I didn't lie, and he hired me.
Yeah.
So I guess just be honest. But yeah, no. So I got lucky there. But anyways, yeah. It's looking back, if I was still in, and basically someone's like, oh, you could go do this in an cryogenic industry, or pursue a degree, or pursue what you really want. I probably wouldn't have chosen the career path, to be honest with you. The cryogenics thing, it's not what I grew up wanting to do, but it's afforded me the opportunity to travel. It's, to move to Oregon, move now to Vermont, and soon back to New York.
Yeah.
All while I'm using my GI Bill benefits to go to school. So eventually I'll get a degree where I can then use my military and industry experience to try to get an even better job. So we'll see.
Yeah. Right on.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, no matter what, like whatever you think you're going to do as a kid, you're probably not going to do, it's few and far between. Life takes a circuitous route, and then you kind of just end up somewhere you're like, what the heck? How did that happen?
Yeah.
So, I think that not everybody can turn their military experience into like a legitimate job.
Yeah.
Which is like frustrating, because like I definitely didn't turn it into a legitimate job. It didn't really provide me any specific job skills that I could transfer.
I would say I'm not. I guess I was a mechanic in the military.
Yeah.
It's like the equipment I worked on there is completely different than the equipment I'm working on now. But I guess you kind of just learn. I learned anyways, like to be mechanically inclined, I guess, and like how to problem solve something like that, a machine or something like that.
Yeah.
So I was able to kind of translate that into what I'm doing now. But it's also okay. So let's see. If I was just in security, that's all I did in the military. Not that there's anything wrong with that, because you do need MPs and MAs and stuff like that. I was actually thinking about this the other day. On where I work now, there's a guard check you have to go through.
Yeah. And
I talked to one of the guys once, and he used to be an MA in the Navy.
Huh.
Navy, essentially police.
Yeah.
And I was like, if I just kept with the security route, I would have gone down a completely different route.
Yeah.
But I guess it's just the way I did my resume or something like that, because I didn't expect to be where in the industry I am.
Yeah.
But you really can go a million different ways from the military. It's just a matter of like what you pick up on when you're in, and if there's any like I said, taking the opportunities as they come along.
Yeah.
If they need the acronym Navy, they always say never again volunteer yourself. But I say volunteer yourself for almost everything, because you can learn things.
Yeah.
But not saying I know everything for sure.
No,
I don't,
of course. No, I understand. I think that's a really valuable, snippet right there. Because I feel like, you do so much in the Navy, whether you do what you were specifically trained to do or kind of do offshoots, that it does give you kind of a freedom to like pick and choose what experiences you want to put on your resume to then kind of direct your career. And like, even if it is like maybe a little bit of a stretch, there's opportunities. I don't know. I feel like everybody kind of, stretches on their resume. It's always like reaching for whatever you can put on there that's going to be applicable to that job. But
you got to sell yourself.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Military. No, I agree that everybody who applies for, I would say, a better job than where they have now, they're stretching a little bit on the resume.
Yeah.
For me, I put I put project manager on my resume. Have I ever had the title of project manager? No, but have I managed projects? Yes.
Yeah.
And you know what? Somebody might call me. They haven't, but maybe somebody will call me, and I could go down that route with my career.
Yeah.
I'm not saying everybody should lie on their resume, but I'm saying that I think a lot of people put what skills either they're interested in and know a little bit about. Not everybody's an expert on anything.
Yeah.
Not always, but
I mean, it's funny because I feel like that's how like the good, I don't usually cuss, but like there's no other term for it, like bullshitters.
Yeah.
Like that's how they get in those positions because they can put something on there and then just talk, you
Yep.
know?
Yep.
And so like, I mean, as long as you can talk and you can be personable and like, you know, make sense with what you're actually talking about within that buzzword that they're interested in,
Yeah.
you know, that's all that's all that really matters.
Yeah. It reminds me of one of my buddies back home. He's a car salesman, and he could sell you the shirt you're already wearing.
Yeah.
You know, he's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like kind of like that where you have to be able to connect with people and shoot the shit.
Yeah. That's
But
pretty much it.
But yeah, no.
So you've been taking advantage of the GI Bill for
Yeah.
the whole time, the past 7 years, or
Yeah, I've never paid out of pocket for school yet.
so?
I'm almost out. So
Well, I how does that work? If you've been out 7 years ish, you've been in school like part time, but it's 36 months.
So I have not been in school every semester this entire time.
Okay.
Even part time, I think I'd be done by now. I definitely took, I would say, trying to think, at least 2 full years off
Okay.
total in the 8 years I've been out.
Gotcha.
So really, I've only been in school for 6. I know I started at 10
Okay.
and now I'm down at 6. But you know, it seems like forever because
Yeah.
I don't have the tangible
I bet.
degree yet. But
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, there's a couple times I went full time. So like I try to catch up from all that time off, and I had slow time at work, so I'd go full time.
Yeah.
Take 5 classes, figure it out, do it, pass, go on to the next thing. But right now I'm taking part time again.
Mm.
You know, we're moving. But yeah, so I've been using the GI Bill. It's great. You don't have to
Yeah.
pay for school.
Yeah.
And perfect example is my wife has student loan debt.
Yeah.
And we're, still working on paying that off. It's
Yeah.
like because of instead of just directly going to school,
Mm-hmm.
when I first got out, I was like, damn it, almost half my friends have degrees already. And I'm just starting out. This sucks.
Yeah.
But the amount of time it's taking me to work at my degree slowly,
Mm-hmm.
I'm still, I would say, financially ahead because I won't have that debt at the end of it.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that to me is huge. And I know there's like, oh, you know better than I do. I think you said in the Guard, there's like, they will forgive some of your old student loans if you join. Is that right?
There's different like enlistment incentives. Like I know New Hampshire, I saw a flyer. They have like a $50,000 student loan forgiveness thing. And so it was 3 options that you could pick 2 of them. One was a $50,000 repayment of student loans. One was like a kicker, like a monthly kicker while you're going to school. And then the other one was a $20,000 sign-on bonus. So like,
Dang.
That's some massive money.
Yeah.
To get a job.
Yeah.
I don't know why it takes so much for people to, finally just commit to something, but
That's a great deal. No, and there's so many good deals like that for education.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's what a lot of people join for. I didn't at first because I didn't want to go to school, but now taking advantage of it, I'm like, this is so good.
Yeah.
Now that I'm older and I would say like more directed towards what I actually want. Because at 19, I didn't know what I wanted to do. Hell, I kind of still don't. But now I appreciate it more than I would have back then.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, to not have student loan debt, they give you a monthly housing allowance while you're in school, like to help cover your bills while you're focusing on learning and bettering yourself. It's like, it's almost a no-brainer. In fact, one of my biggest pet peeves is the must be nice mentality.
Mm.
I absolutely hate that because it's like personally everything I have for I worked for.
Yeah.
Well, when I first got out of the Navy and I started going to school at community college, one of my buddies constantly, because he was, he was going to school. His parents, I think, were paying, for it or whatever, or not, whatever. He was figuring out his own way, of going to school. Well, I was going to school. I had a job. I was going to school, and on top of them they were paying me to go to school. So like I essentially had 2 paychecks.
Yeah.
All I had to do was go to school after work every night.
Yeah.
Anyways, I got the must be nice type of thing. I was like, after a while, it's like, you know what? Damn right, it's nice. Worked my ass off for this, and guess what? Anybody else can do it too. That's the catch. It's like it's not like I was handed some gift. Anybody who joins the military can be in the same shoes. I'm not saying I'm like better than anybody, but I'm saying that like anybody who wants it can have it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think it's like it's kind of a no brainer.
Yeah.
Because again, you just do 4 years. 4 years fly by anyways. It's like you might as well do something with it.
Uh-huh.
I don't know.
And I don't know. Yeah, it's just like somehow as a kid in high school, like the assumption is that the military is just like the absolute worst thing ever. And like I didn't think it was gonna be as great as it was.
Yeah,
You know, like I had no idea what the heck I was getting into.
right.
I just kind of like whatever. I know I'm not going to college, so let's do
Along for the
this
ride.
instead. Yeah.
Yeah,
But I don't know if people could get like a snippet of like I know everybody has different experiences, but I feel like the vast majority have great experiences,
yeah,
you know, and it is what you make it in the end. And so I think if kids knew, like, it's just a good time.
yeah,
It's like nothing else in life is comparable, you
yeah.
know?
No, really. I mean,
Not to say the rest of life is a disappointment, but like a normal job is not as fun as, you know, a military job.
no, no. I mean, like I said, it affords you to travel.
Yeah.
You get paid to travel. You get to meet people.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, for me, lifelong friends.
Hmm.
It's it, like I said, I grew up in a small town. I probably would have had a narrow and, I would say uncultured point of view of life
Mm.
if I didn't get out of Dodge for a little bit and
Yeah.
go experience the world, go meet people from all over the world, appreciate different cultures, appreciate different, you know,
Yeah.
religions, beliefs, whatever.
Hmm.
Kind of learn that you're all in it together.
Yeah.
I don't know. For me, it made me, not saying I was a jerk before, but it
Yeah.
really did open my eyes to a lot of different things, and I had a great time with it.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
yeah, I always preach about it to people.
Yeah.
Not really, not fully, but anybody who wants to listen, I tell them about, essentially a good time I had, because it's like, why not? It's,
Yeah.
it really did treat me well.
Hmm.
Got nothing bad to say about it. Sure, like you said, there were some day to day, yeah, there was some BS, but it's like, you know what?
It's gonna be no matter what you do.
There's
There's
BS at my job right now. So it's like, I don't know. It's like
yeah.
you're never gonna have a perfect life where you don't have a
Mm.
hard day or something like that. But this job in the military almost forces you to deal with it.
Yeah.
So you learn how to deal with it.
Yeah. For
When
sure.
you have a tough day, it's like instead of just throwing a fit and calling in sick that day, it's like no, you get off your butt and go to work because
Yeah.
you have to, and it's like it teaches you a lot of valuable lessons.
Yeah. And like, you know, those crappy days like make the good days that much better, you know. It's all
Exactly.
about perspective. You
Exactly.
know?
Not seeing land for six,
Yeah.
75 days.
Yeah.
When you get on the ground, you kiss that ground. It makes you really
Did
appreciate
people
it.
actually do that?
No,
No.
not that I saw, anyways. But
So you know, we do talk about like mention like the, you know, less than ideal days and good days. I'm curious what like a personal spectrum was for you of like what was a day? Do you remember a day like, man, this freaking sucks? And on the contrary, a day was like, I can't believe I get paid to do this.
um, yeah. So let's see. The man, this sucks. I'm trying to think. It would definitely be over in the Persian Gulf when um, working, long hours in 120-degree heat
Mhm.
in the sun with no shade. Um, well, you know what? I still can't even think of like a single scenario. Oh, yes, I can. I've got one. This is actually, maybe this is bad, but
That's all right.
um, no, I mean not a good example of my
Mm,
point is when you pull in a port, somebody's got to guard the ship. So sometimes you pull in a port it's only for one day just to resupply.
mm,
Well, there's duty sections, so you basically stand there, guard the ship essentially. There's
yeah.
like say six duty sections. Well, luck of the draw, if your duty section's on duty that day, you're not going out into Dubai. Well, everyone else gets to
Ah,
go out and party for a day, and you have
ah.
to sit on the ship. Um, but again, that's not a very good excuse because that's still like you're in Dubai. Shut up, like deal with it. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, we had to do a lot of like stupid tasks, I
Yeah.
guess. Oh, I got one for you. This one sucked, and it was 3 months long, and almost everybody in the Navy has to do it as a junior enlisted.
Mhm.
It's not necessarily a rite of passage; it's more like it's your turn.
Yeah.
You get sent cranking. You ever heard of that?
No.
And this also goes along with what I first said about Dubai. So going cranking means for 3 to 6 months of your, I guess, first deployment on the ship,
Mhm.
you get sent to basically TAD, temporary assigned duty, to the mess decks. So you go work. You are the cook's bitch.
You can cuss.
Yeah,
It's
sorry.
okay.
You're the cook's bitch.
Huh.
So you're in the deep sink scrubbing all the pans that they burnt rice to.
Oh
Like
man.
so. I
Yeah.
mean, in 120-degree heat inside a ship where there's steaming,
Yeah.
it's hot, you're
4 or
dying.
5,000 people, like
Yeah.
the amount of dishes that come along with
Oh my
5,000
God.
people.
Yeah. So, I mean, you literally are like,
Yeah.
and it's funny because like people look at you like you're disgusting, but everyone has to do it. That's what's funny is I think that's like now because everybody who's looking at you like you're scum because you're washing all the dishes, like, oh, look at this cranking guy. They already went through it. So and they were treated that way. So it's kind of just like the way it keeps
a perpetual.
going.
Yeah.
But like they've earned the right to be like, ugh, disgusting. But yeah, my first ship had a massive cockroach infestation. So you're sitting there steaming, sweating, scrubbing disgusting dishes. Somebody's got to do it though. Anyways, it's not the cook's job to clean.
Yeah.
It's your job to clean. So
Gotcha.
everybody takes a turn doing it. That sucked. And again, like I said about guarding the ship in Dubai, it kind of goes with that because during those 3 months, the cooks have to feed the duty section. So even if it's not your duty section, if you're cranking, you stay on the ship and you clean dishes while everyone else is out in Greece or out in Italy.
Yeah.
So you still get like 1 day out of like 4 that you get to go out, but it's not like anyways. So that one I really hated that.
Yeah.
It sucked. I feel like I missed out on a lot of like foreign ports. I missed out on a lot of like good training, things like that. But let's see. One of the best was, I mean, for one, on my first ship, like I said, there wasn't a lot of what was I gonna say? Aircraft. But when they flew in, and if they were doing training exercises, our air department, since we basically were kind of kicking back with our feet up for most of it, hop in a helicopter, go for a ride.
Cool.
Go do training exercises.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was really cool because you basically be like, "Hey, Chief, I want to hop on. Go ahead," and you just go hop on. And you go fly over to another ship, or you fly over to like Djibouti. We would be off the coast of Djibouti, fly into Djibouti, go pick people up, and I don't know. That was really cool because you're like, "This isn't even my job. I'm just along for the ride," and like literally, you're just like watching the ship as you're flying away get smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
And another one to go with that is training exercises that you weren't directly a part of, but got to be a part of. Like I told you, we carried Marines on my first ship. Well, one of the little like side missions we did was training the Kenyan army, and we went on shore, and you just basically got to go with them, float to shore, and essentially have a campfire on the beach while there's, the Marines are essentially doing all the work, and you're kind of there just like helping. You're not doing anything. You're not the expert in training the Kenyan army, but you get to kind of just go be a part of things like that where there's like, baboons running around and stuff. It's like, I don't know. It's really cool because, like I said, it's like totally different culture.
Yeah.
They're speaking a language you don't even know. And it's like, you kind of just get to sit back and be like, wow, I'm over here on the coast of Kenya, just kind of.
Yeah. It's funny because like I feel like a lot of the cool experiences aren't even like you're not even really supposed to be there. You just are there.
Yep.
Like I remember there was I worked on Pendleton at the airfield, and there on a Saturday there was some like Air Force helicopter, like Black Hawk type thing that was going from Camp Pendleton down to North Island, which is like downtown San Diego. And on Friday, I was like, "Hey, can I get a ride?" Like I'm going to see a friend. Like I want to go down there anyways. And my opso like, yeah, sure. So like I met them Saturday morning. They flew me, to downtown San Diego, and I like went and got lunch with a friend, and then took the train back. And I'm like, that was like awesome. The best Uber ever,
Yeah, really.
And that would not have existed had I not been at that place at that time, So
wow,
it's just like just off the wall, like this isn't normal. Thing.
I feel like there's a lot of experiences like that you can get, and like I said, volunteering for things.
Yeah,
you get the more you volunteer for, technically, the more people start to recognize that you're qualified or a competent person.
Yeah,
so they'll choose you if there's a special training. So one of my good buddies who's still in the military, or one of my good buddies who we still talk about rejoining the military, I was telling you about.
Yeah.
He basically got to go to school to be the ship's rescue swimmer.
Huh.
Because he was like a competent person, and he somebody knew he was like really into fitness and like swam a lot.
No kidding.
So he became the ship's rescue swimmer just because he was like acknowledged as like a competent person. So
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the number of like offshoot schools that you can go to.
Yeah.
Like I have friends that went to like evasive driving school. I'm
That's
like,
awesome.
dude, what? That's freaking sweet,
Yeah,
man.
really. Wow.
Like just go like pedal the metal around a parking lot, learn how to drift, learn how to do like J turns and stuff like that.
It's totally legit and not illegal.
Yeah. And you're like getting paid to do it.
Yeah.
It's like, what the heck? Yeah. So just cool opportunities.
Yeah.
Right on, man. Any parting wisdom? I kind of asked my closing questions as part of the general conversation because it worked out so well. But
No, I mean, like I said, kind of acknowledge that the glory days are there before they're gone, and also take every opportunity you can, because it could lead you down a good path.
Yeah.
You know, and worst case scenario, you ruined a day. You know, you wasted a day.
Yeah.
You know, there's always like
time's gonna go by anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do everything the military offers you. Take the opportunities.
Yeah.
Advice, I guess.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Finally.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I've always kind of like refrained from asking you too many questions because I wanted to save it for this.
Get that vibe. I noticed that because even I was like, we should wait to talk about this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we finally made it happen.
Yeah. Same here.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Thanks for coming on.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning into the episode. I hope you enjoyed Morgan's story as much as I did. Really down to earth guy. I really enjoyed getting to know him over the past year. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.